Good morning and welcome to the fifth quarter, Northern Arizona. My name is Danny Neal and I will be your host for the morning. And I'm honored to have the man, the myth, the legend, the man known in Flagstaff simply as Coach. My friend Tyrone Johnson is my co-host. Is my co-host. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. We've been trying to do this for a while, man, and so we finally got this going. And what we want to do with this show is kind of like talk about things that are happening locally in the state, nationally, as it pertains to sports. Interesting topics, um, regardless whether it's our house, our neighborhood, our city, wherever, man. We just want to talk. People see us talking all the time, laughing, whatever, wondering what we're talking about. So now they get to come into our little discussion.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be cool. Definitely looking forward to just sitting down and chopping it up and doing how we normally do. And so I appreciate that introduction. But I'm the one riding on the coattail of the man, the myth, the legend. We know that's all you.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate that, but we're excited about doing this. There's just so many good things happening in Flagstaff around the northern Arizona as a whole that needs to be highlighted. Um, Past and present. This city has a rich future with a lot of great athletes who come through walk these streets of this city, and it's time to highlight them. I know that there's other people doing some great jobs. So now it's coming from the perspective of two cats, born and raised here in Flagstaff, brought up in the Brandon Holmes district, and just doing it, man. So I appreciate it, and let's just go.
Let's do it.
All right. So, we want to bring in people that from all sports. Everybody knows us as the basketball. We're in the basketball big, but there's so many people doing some great things in this town, and we really want to highlight them. And today we have one of those gentlemen with us, someone who really personally. So I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you introduce our next guest, our first guest.
Yeah, I mean, this is just real cool just to be able to, like you say, highlight community members, community coaches. And our very first guest of our show is somebody that we've both known for a long time. He started out working in recreation with us back when he was like 16. And then I've had the pleasure of him working with me in athletics for it may have been like the past 9 years or so as a coordinator. And then, also got to watch him step into this coaching thing and do well in coaching. He's none other than Mr. Dan Carrick. He was the head coach of Flagstaff Avalanche. He's one that found success very quickly. He came into the scene, worked with the kids, got to a state championship game, won a state championship game, and then he also got back. And so we just like to go ahead and say good morning and welcome to Coach Dan Carrick.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan.
Morning, guys.
Appreciate you being with us. So as Coach was saying, one of the things that we really want to do is just kind of sit up and talk. It's almost like office talk. Like if we were in here and we were just talking about the season or the games or just philosophies. And so, first thing we want to do is just give us a little bit about yourself and about your background and about the hockey program that you just coached with the high school.
So for the past 6 years, I have been the head program coach for the Flagstaff Avalanche high school hockey here in Flagstaff. We also have kids from all across Northern Arizona. We have some Prescott kids that come up and play as well. It's a little bit unique. It's not like Flag High to where you're, playing for the actual high school that you actually attend. Hockey is a little more of an intimate sport. There's not enough kids that participate to have teams at every school. So we just combined each other to be able to represent Northern Arizona. And a little bit about the program is I grew up here in Flagstaff. I was a member of that program. I had great experiences and I wanted to give back to the community. I feel like I have a lot of knowledge about the sport and, I felt like it was not necessarily lacking, but I felt like the boys deserved, a way to experience hockey the best they possibly could. And I felt like I was the right man for the job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I definitely echo those sentiments because your passion for the game is huge. Your knowledge of the game is huge. And then just your desire to be successful. And so as you came into the program, give us a little bit about the state of the program and then taking them to, your first state championship.
Yeah. So, I came into the program as an assistant coach. I started my first year. I was behind a coach that he was in his actual first year coaching as well. He had been an assistant for a few years. But I feel like it was in that transition period where there wasn't a lot of leadership. There wasn't, a direct path going on. And about halfway through that season, that coach actually decided that he was no longer capable of coaching anymore. And so they turned the reins over to me in my first year as an assistant coach. And so I, throughout the season, I was doing everything I could, whether it be practice plans or, trying to create the systems that were needed for our team. So they had a good base with me, regardless of whether I was the head coach or the assistant coach. We had a decent season. It wasn't what we had hoped. We finished about 500 on the record. But the next season, as I took over, as the program became mine, I would be in charge of 3 teams at that point. Actually, it was 2 teams at the beginning. So, being the head program coach, I'm not just the coach of the top D2 team. I'm the coach, that's responsible for the D3 and or JV team at that time. So I came in with a, wealth of knowledge and decided that now that the reins were being handed over to me, I would be able to run the program the way I think it should be run, implement the systems that I thought were necessary to compete for a state championship. And the program started to thrive. We had such a big following at that point that one of the local 16U teams that was run by the FYHA, that actually folded so that those players could come to the Flagstaff Avalanche program. And so that helped us grow from those 2 teams to the 3 teams that we ended up with. And what that allowed us to do, instead of diluting talent across the board to the multiple teams, it allowed the Avalanche program to take all the talent in Northern Arizona and, allocate it the way we thought it needed to be done, whether it be to D2, D3, JV. And then at that point, we, like I said, implementing the systems, getting the buy-in from the players and families really went a long way. And I think that's what ultimately led to our state championship.
And when you talk about your state championship, we want to talk about the first one that you went to and the one that you won. What characteristics did you see in those guys that were just an integral part of the success of that season?
That was a great group of guys. They all have been as well, but that group was definitely special. They were led by a great captain in Chris Wise. He definitely took his leadership role extremely seriously. It was almost an extension of the coaching staff, which is huge. He's getting that same buy-in from his peers. A coach can say things till they're blue in the face and may not get the same reaction that a captain's going to get. And if everyone's on the same page, it allows that message to be translated. And so, some of the characteristics that they had is dedication. They were willing to put the work in when no one else was. They put it in on their own time, as well as when they were together as a team. They were determined. They were hardworking. They had that full buy-in that I'm talking about. I've coached some teams where the players are hit or miss, whether or not they're going to fully listen to you. These guys were fully bought in, whether it was film, whether it was chalk talk, practices. They had the same goal that I had. And at the end of the day, they put in the work necessary to achieve that goal.
Nice. And I think that's so important, some of the characteristics that you talk about, especially when you have players that's an extension of the coach that really buy in, that you can count on not just in game situations, but in practice, on court, off court, they're going to lead the right way. And you just went back to the state championship game. This one didn't turn out quite the way that you wanted it, but just give us a little bit about this team, that experience, and maybe the difference in the end between being a runner-up and then that first state championship that you had.
Yeah, and so this team, we just went back this season. I think the main difference between this team and the team that actually accomplished the goal was, we were a little bit younger this year. We had a little less experience, so we were leaning on guys that didn't have as many varsity games under their belt as in the past. So, you get into those playoff situations, you get into that actual state championship game, and it becomes real. It becomes that do or die time where you have to win. And that pressure sometimes, that's that fight or flight. And, sometimes people don't necessarily rise to the occasion. I feel like we had a good game, but, our opponent came in stronger and harder, and they ended up coming away with it, and, well-deserved for them. But, a big thing is that one big difference between the teams this season and the season that we won the state championship was, that dedication. A lot of the guys, I don't know if it's coming off of COVID or what, but they missed some practices. They weren't working as hard on their own. We do dry land as well, because obviously we can't do everything on the ice. We don't get 5 days a week. We only get 2 days of practice on the ice. And then we have to work on conditioning and stuff outside of that. And it was very clear that these guys worked hard. They wanted it, but they didn't have that little extra that they needed to push themselves over the top. And my assistant coach and I had several conversations afterwards, and it was, it kind of came down to everyone wants to win a state championship at the day of the state championship.
Right.
But who put the work in the 3 months, the 4 months, the 5 months prior, leading up to that, doing the conditioning, doing dry land, stick handling, shooting, doing the things off the ice that can help you make you a better hockey player and make your teammates better. That's the ultimate difference between the two teams.
Nice.
Now,
go ahead,
Coach. Can I
Coach.
ask a quick question? Daniel, with some of your players, have any of them went on to play at the next level?
Yes, actually several of them have. Hockey's a little bit unique. They have different paths, I guess. There's a path in juniors, which is anyone that's 16 to 21 years old. As soon as you hit 21, you age out. And that's kind of similar to a semi-pro. There's multiple leagues, multiple levels. We've had several players go play there. Obviously, the next step up would actually be semi-pros and or NCAA D1. Hockey is one of those sports that not every school has a NCAA team. Like basketball, football. A lot of those sports have NCAA D1, D2, D3. And there's hundreds of programs across the country that offer opportunities. Hockey, you're limited to 20 or so NCAA D1 teams. Same NCAA D3. They don't even have a D2 collegiate hockey. So where a lot of kids are forced to go at that point is an ACHA club team, which a lot of teams have seen a lot of success. ASU has a great program down there. They have ACHA D1, a D2, a D3 team, as well as their newly established NCAA D1 program. And that all kind of spurred from their success at the ACHA D1 program. They won a national championship at that level, and they went on and became an NCAA team. So players playing at that level, I've coached, probably a good 10 to 15 players that have managed to, play at either the ACHA D1 or the ACHA D2 level.
That's kudos to you, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then you mentioned college opportunities, and what some people may know or may not know, you actually kind of went both ways this year in terms of head hockey coach for the high school team, and then you also did some assisting for the NAU club team. And so now we know, I know that you left the high school position this year, and now you're going to concentrate more on the college position, and then you just recently got a promotion on your job, recreation supervisor. So congratulations on that. And so
congratulations there.
Yeah, tell us what the future looks like for you in terms of coaching and your vision and what's next.
So yeah, extremely excited about all fronts. So like I alluded to earlier, I wanted to coach high school hockey in Flagstaff because I had a great experience, and I wanted to provide that experience for the next generation of kids coming up. But every coach wants to move on to the next level, at least if you're passionate about it. And so I had an opportunity presented to me to be an assistant coach for the NAU ACHA D2 team this season, and I jumped at the chance. It was a little bit tough working both those schedules. It's a long season. You're starting in August and not finishing until March. So I juggled a lot over those several months, just trying to get to games and practices. I felt like I was doing something every night of the week. But yeah, moving forward, had some good conversations with the coaching staff there at NAU, and, decided that was ultimately where I belonged. And, stepping away from the high school program's bittersweet. You hate leaving guys in limbo that you've coached for 3 years that, have another season. But, at the same time, you have to take the opportunities that are presented to you and, further your career if you can. And so, moving on from the high school level to the collegiate level is extremely exciting. This past season, kind of reinvigorated my love for the game. Seeing hockey kind of played at that, tough level, back to that grit and hard iron hockey that I grew up playing. That's more what you're seeing at that collegiate level. And so it's a little easier to pass along my knowledge at that level. Not just because it's more similar to the game that I played, but you have higher end talent. You have players that are capable of doing things, and their hockey sense is there, and their knowledge of the game. So being able to communicate with those guys that are the high end talent that can produce, it just makes it a lot easier, and getting them to dig deep and work hard for a common goal at the collegiate level seems, like that brotherhood that is a little easier to mimic, since they're all at NAU. Like I alluded to earlier about that high school program, they're all from different schools. You might get some Coconino kids, some Flag High kids, some kids from Prescott, Basis. So kind of building that camaraderie does take a little while. Sometimes they're at each other's throats. Whereas everyone being at NAU, everyone being, an Ice Jack, makes it really easy to build that camaraderie and help that chemistry.
Nice. Well, DC, we definitely appreciate the time today spending with us. Before you go, now you're at the college level and stuff like that, give us a nugget, give us something that high school kids need to do in preparation to either A, be successful in high school, to get to a state championship and accomplish that goal of winning, or B, prepare themselves to be seen by college coaches so that they have a chance to play at that next level.
So, touching on the second part of that, being seen by college coaches, what I think a lot of people do is they get complacent. If they're going to a showcase or a tryout, or they're going to try and get seen, a lot of times it's just status quo and it's just business as usual. Whereas what I want to see is everything you're possibly capable of. I want to see you leave everything on the ice so that I know that when you're wearing my uniform, that I can trust you to do anything and everything possible to win the game. And, same goes for, the first part of the question is, what can they do to prepare themselves? And in all honesty, it's, if you love the game and you have that passion yourself, I hope that you'd be putting the time in during the off season to make that happen. And, I'm going to allude to your son here, because I heard plenty of times that he would go into the gym by himself. He'd steal your key and he'd go shoot for hours just trying to perfect his art. And I think that's the main difference between players that get a look at the next level and players that get passed up.
And just for one point, he didn't steal the key. He just took the key. He didn't have to steal it, man. He didn't have to steal it.
At least I knew where he was on a Friday night.
Exactly.
There you go, bro. Hey, Dan, we're running out of time, but man, we appreciate you for you being the first guest and bringing bringing all this to us. We just hope continued success to you, to your program, to the program that you're leaving, which I'm sure you're always there to help them if they're needed. And like Coach said, man, we've known you for a while since you was a young man. So we're just really proud of you and congratulations on your new job.
Thank you. I appreciate both of you guys for having me, and I wish you guys the best of luck with this show. It seems great so far.
All right. Hey, appreciate you, DC.
So, all right. So, Coach, we got about 5 minutes. And so talking about state championship runs, in 5 minutes, man, let us know about your season this year.
Coach, first off, I'm looking at my clock. You got more than 5 minutes.
Hey, man, don't do that, man. That's right.
You know, for us,
we just want more TV time.
No, this year was good. It was special, and you know, early on, in the summertime, we saw how special the season could really be. We saw that when we came together, when we worked, that we had a serious chance of, you know, not just being good and not just having a goal of, you know, state champions just as pie in the sky. We seen that it could be a reality. And, you know, I think a lot of that was just really predicated on the dedication that, you know, Graceland had from the beginning. You know, she really committed to working with us and working with her teammates. And she wasn't off with, you know, other people, and the girls looked up to that. So whatever Grace was doing, the girls was going to do. And then the fact that we were able to play together and really work, and then coming into the season, there was really no let off in terms of what we had did from the summer. And so early on, just coming out, I mean, season opened up with Seton Catholic, and so we got tested early, and you know, we got down 9 or 10. We were able to battle back. We had a chance at the end. We lost that game, but it told us a lot about ourselves as far as how we can compete with one of the top teams historically in the state. And so I think that really just set the precedent for us, and we were able to go out and really start playing. And then we come into our Pepsi. I think the Pepsi was another good gauge, because people don't realize that we get some real good teams that come up to the Pepsi. And a lot of people talk about whether 4A, 5A, 6A, but you know, you got 3A schools for girls basketball that are literally some of the best schools in the state, 2A that are literally some of the best schools in the state, irregardless of class. And so this year we were fortunate to have people that actually played in the state championship in a 2A game. We had Sedona and Pima. We got to play against both of those, and that gave us a little bit of different look of some competitive teams, some teams that, you know, were physical, some teams that were taller than us. And so we were able to be successful in our Pepsi tournament. Then when we went to Vegas, we saw a different type of athlete, and we were still able to play and be successful. And in the championship game there, we got down by like 19, and we were able to come back, tie it in regulation, and win in the overtime. So it told us that we can do it. And then moving on, when we played Deer Valley, that was a nice battle game. We didn't have Alyssa playing in that game, and we still competed well. So we were confident that, you know, we could play. And once we got to the play, you know, you need to be healthy, you need to be happy, you need to be lucky. We were a 5th seed. We got to play 3 home games because higher seeds kept getting upset, and that worked out in our favor. We love to get people up on the mountain and really introduce them to 7,000 feet. And so I think that helped propel us. And then in the state championship game, I got to get better, Coach. We had a situation, second quarter, they started going on a run. You know, I called a timeout, tried to, I guess, slow the run, and then they went on another run, and I'm trying to buy time instead of I should have just burned all 5 timeouts in the second quarter if I needed to stop the run. Because that ended up being the difference in the game right there.
Well, okay, now wait. Now let's get one thing straight. Now they really gonna see me and you at it right now. First of all, talking about you got to get better. Everybody in town know what the great job you're doing. I mean, we've been there 16 years. You've been to 15 straight tournaments. You've been to 7 Final Fours. You made it to the championship game. And all 7 Final Fours, I was with you for all of them. And every time you blamed yourself.
And we was crying afterwards. I was crying,
yeah,
you was crying, and then I had to self-reflect.
Yes. You're right. But actually, one Final Four game after they put us in a room to get dressed before the game, and we went out and played the game. I think we lost the Final Four game by 2 points, and then the room they put us in to get dressed was sitting in the room with the state championship ball that we just lost. We really cried that night.
That night I was about to lose job and everything because I really was gonna tear them state trophies up. They shouldn't have done that to us.
Yeah, man. But I mean, there's been incredible athletes coming through that. This year was a special year. I'm gonna flex a little bit if you allow me, and just say the fact that the program as a whole had an incredible season with the freshmen going undefeated, the JV going undefeated, the varsity on losing 3 games, and those 3 games that they lost was to Seton Catholic when they were ranked number 1 at the time, Deer Valley when they were ranked number 1 at the time, and in the state championship game. So the program that you started at Flag High Coach is incredible. I'm just happy and blessed to be a part of it, and we just had some incredible athletes also. Me being undefeated, I always said, I'm not that great of a coach to go undefeated. I've had to have great players as the same as if we went 0-18. I'm not that bad of a coach. I just didn't have good players. So
that might be debatable there. I don't know.
All right, there you go, man.
Like I told you all season, when Rick Brandle would announce the program record and everything, and I got my freshman coaches undefeated, my JV coaches undefeated, and the varsity is the only one with some losses. I got to do something better. I'm trying to catch up to y'all. So,
hey, man.
And, this year was just special too. We talk about Graceland and what she's accomplished to have an athlete for you that made one of the first in history at this point in time, to have an athlete that was the first one in Arizona history confirmed with 1,000 kills in volleyball, 1,000 points plus in basketball. And just to see her maturation and the type of person she is and the type of athlete, it's just special when you can have those moments and those type of people come through the program and really leave their mark on the program. And, for us to go to the state championship with her at the helm, when we've had some great players that came through, we knocked at the door a bunch of times, but we couldn't quite get in. And just to get there, and the program hadn't been there in 30 years, that's something special. And hopefully that were on freshman and JV looked up to her example. The ones that were on varsity that's coming back also looked up to her example, so that we can keep this thing rolling and not just get there, ultimately accomplish it from, the success that we've had this year. Hopefully we can knock on that door and knock it down and then actually come back with a gold ball as opposed to a figurine.
Right. And we're running out of time. This has been a great morning. I just want to say that the reason this year was very special was for me was I finally got to talk to Graceland. Graceland came in her freshman year as a phenom. She walked on the court. Coach Johnson told me, "You will never coach her, so don't say nothing to her. You are going to introduce yourself as Coach Neal, and you ain't got nothing else to do with her." So for 4 years, he would not let me talk to Graceland because I wasn't her coach. So this year, I finally got a chance to talk to Graceland, and it was a special year, man. So, I'm pretty sure we run out of time, and I think everybody can see where we're going with this. Every Friday morning, 7:30, we'll be here. We'll have topics, interesting guests. A young lady that works with us, Crystal Warden Gant, will be coming in with some nutritional stuff for the youth because that's our big thing. And we just want everybody to know that if you have any suggestions, any topics, anyone that needs to be highlighted, please contact us. I don't think we have an official website or anything right now, but we're in motion and we're moving, and we're not that hard to find. So,
Coach,
yes, sir.
you know what they say.
Well,
You ain't got to go home,
but you got to leave here. Good night. We'll see you guys later, and thank you for coming. Bye.